Don't like your stick. Anyway, just ignore the dog. We're trying to. So I asked you to ask us questions about backpacking through New Zealand, and well, you did respond in quite an abundance. I'm going to try and get through as many questions as possible. How easy is it to get to the national parks using public transport, or is a car essential? Most buses will go to the national parks, like Naked Bus goes to the Tongariro Crossing National Park place, and to get here you have to use Abel Tasman coach lines or another bus. But if the one you're using, like Intercity or whatever, doesn't go to a national park, just go onto Google and type in destination and bus, you'll find one. Normally it's a-okay. Do you have to tip in New Zealand, and if so, how much? No, you don't. It's completely optional. What is the public transit like in Auckland, and is it easy to navigate?
Very easy to navigate. You can get yourself like an Oyster card over there,
which is called a hop card.
Tap off, hop card, and you can, the trains and bus lines. There isn't loads, it doesn't go everywhere, but it goes to the main places. Yeah. Anyone who's asked us anything about how much things cost, I've already filmed a video this morning, which should go out the day after you see this, or maybe the day after, explaining all the costs about travelling around New Zealand and how expensive it is here. So I'm going to skip these for now because you'll get all that information in the next video. This is quite a common one I got. If you had your time over again, would you have still based yourself in Auckland or somewhere else in New Zealand? I got a ton of questions like this. God, that dog is annoying. Okay, so from my standpoint, this was a compromise for Scott to earn money. I didn't want to be in Auckland. From about 3 weeks in, I wanted to leave. I had a breakdown, started crying. I wanted to leave. What about you? So yeah, I wanted to leave. I would have been anywhere else. So finding work for me in Auckland was the best place to find work. Christchurch is another place I could have gone to because of the earthquake situation. There's a lot of building work going on there. But Auckland is the biggest city, it's the biggest amount of electrical companies at the time, so that's where, Jesus, that dog is loud. Hey! Yeah, Auckland, definitely the place which I was able to find the easiest work and the quickest work. Christchurch would have been the same, but there's not much in Christchurch, so Auckland is sort of the only place. I could have gone to other places such as Queenstown or Wanaka or other little towns, but then I'm sort of putting myself at a hurdle of being a small population trying to find work. So that's the reason we picked Auckland. What's the one thing you didn't get to do that you really wanted to whilst in New Zealand? Now, you've already answered this in the last question. I'll link it up. Mine is a helicopter ride. I would have absolutely loved to have done like Milford Sound or something like that in a helicopter. Oh my god. What did you like least about backpacking New Zealand, and what would you redo if you had the chance? So let's just stick to the first part because we already know what the second half is. What do you like least about backpacking in New Zealand? I'd say the main thing is the weather. If you don't have the right clothes, if you haven't brought the right clothes, then the weather. If you have, then it's pretty cool. Like, I brought with me a big coat and a woolly hat and warm clothing, so it was pretty fine, like in winter. Okay, someone asked about booking tours like Kiwi Experience. Is it best to book when you get there or beforehand? I've heard you get better deals out there. Just like the same with every country, just book when you're here. You don't need to book everything up before you come, so book when you're here. Seriously, you just go online, do it like that really quickly. Lots of people asked what to pack, and I'm going to do a video on what's in my backpack New Zealand edition, so watch out for that one. How did you find somewhere to live? Trade me. Link it down below. Do you have to put a deposit down, and if so, with your landlord you had, did you get it back? Well, we put down a $600 bond, and we just, because we knew he was our landlord, we just didn't pay our last 2 weeks rent. So we made sure we got it back because he's a gambling addict, and the way it all turned out at the end, we wouldn't have got it back. So in Australia and New Zealand, your bond is supposed to go to a third party organisation which holds the money, and then once both parties are satisfied, you get it back at the end. Probably I'd say about 90% of people renting out places that you rent off will not do that. They'll just pocket the money and give it you back at the end. But you can do what we did and keep it in lieu and not pay the last 2 weeks rent to guarantee that you have it back. What advice do you have on getting long-term accommodation abroad and sidestepping shady landlords? Alright, if your landlord seems shady when you meet him, when you do a house viewing, that's your first sign. Otherwise, you're not going to know. Long-term accommodation, Sandfly. Long-term accommodation, ours was pretty long-term, and you just go on to Trade Me, and yeah, trade me. What tips can you give for couples backpacking together as far as finding housing, etc.? We struggled to find housing for a couple. We really struggled. No one wanted to let out a room for a couple. They just didn't want a couple. They wanted single people. So you got to give yourself extra time. If you're going to
X, say Auckland, don't think you're going to find a place in a week, because we had to extend our Airbnb by like 4 days because we struggled. So make sure you give yourself plenty of time to find somewhere.
And finding a furnished place is hard as well.
Nightmare. But
So-
traveling as a couple, any other advice? Give each other space. Just know when each other needs space, you know, because you're going to live on top of each other constantly. And if that gets annoying, you're going to have to learn to just say, right, I'm going out today here, you can do what you want. And you've got to be okay with that, you know? Just be straight and open with each other. Understand this is going to happen, and it's natural to want to have time apart. Right, this one's for Scott. Do you think it's better to do Australia or New Zealand first?
I would say Australia, because it's a lot more backpacker friendly. Easier to make friends, easier to find work, easier to do pretty much everything in Australia. Obviously because of the population size and the size of the country. And it makes you appreciate New Zealand a lot more when you get here from Australia, I think. Beauty factor of scenery.
Yeah. I mean, they're worlds apart. They're two
They're
completely different countries.
It's like going from the Sahara Desert to the UK. Like,
Yeah,
there's no-
exactly. If you were going to New Zealand for a week, where would you go and what would you see?
Queenstown, hire a car for a week. Definitely hire a car. Definitely do Mount Cook. Definitely do Wanaka, they're pretty close, and definitely do Milford Sounds.
How long is a good amount of time to spend backpacking and travelling around in New Zealand? I've thought about this quite a bit. If you want to do both islands, you want to do them well, and you want to see stuff, and you don't want to be chasing your ass the whole time, I'd say 2 months max.
Yeah.
Yeah. 8 weeks to do both islands fully, I'd say.
I did it in 4 weeks one time, both islands, and it was very, very rushed, so them extra 4 weeks would be perfect.
Yeah, you see people constantly in hostels. Someone who checked into our room last night was staying here a week and a half
Yeah,
in New
it's really
Zealand to
short.
do a tour of New Zealand. It's like, you won't see anything. Everyone's like literally 1 night here, 1 night there. You don't see a thing. So, yeah, 8 weeks. What's the difference living costs between Australia and New Zealand? They're very similar. The only problem you'll face is that you are paid a lot less in New Zealand, yet prices are the same. So your standard of living in New Zealand is nothing like Australia. Australia, say you get $20 an hour minimum, between 18 and 22 for like hospitality work. Here, your rent, food, activities are all the same price, and then you're earning $15 an hour. What are your top 3 hidden gems that you've discovered?
Takapuna, that's a beach in Auckland where we were staying. Takapuna Beach, it's probably the best beach in Auckland that I've been to. Piha and stuff are nice on the west coast, but as a swimming beach, as a chill out beach, Takapuna. Rua, Kerosene Falls, Kerosene Creek. To go to the hot pools there for free hot pools. I think that was probably the best free hot pools we've been to.
Yeah.
Number 3, I would say the place we stayed on our Milford trip in the cabin
Ah, yeah.
with the little log fire. I'd say that.
Yes, I'll link that down below for you. So, do you save while living in New Zealand or do you break even? Now, this is completely different for both of us. I break even because I earn when I'm traveling. I earn month to month and I'm spending what I'm, you know. So I can't save right now. I don't earn enough to save anything. But
Not as much as Australia. You don't save as much as Australia. You do save a little bit, but once you start traveling again, your funds just deplete. So, no, not really.
what is your opinion of the people and lifestyle? Kiwis are very laid back.
Very.
Very. They're horizontal.
Very friendly.
Yeah.
A little bit weird. In a good way. A little bit weird in a good way. Weird as in do things which people from the UK don't normally do. Like they'll walk into a supermarket with bare feet. Or just walk around the streets in bare feet. Which is a normal thing here. Because the streets are quite clean.
What was your best experience and what was your worst?
Best experience was with our landlord, by far. That guy has some big issues and hopefully you'll get what's coming to him one day. Best?
That's hard. We've had some good times. It's really difficult to narrow it down.
I'd say the shot over jet was a really good
It
experience.
was good, but I wouldn't say that was the best. Probably, I'd say reaching the highest points that you'll cross on the Tongariro crossing. And knowing it was all downhill from there. That was an amazing feeling.
That was pretty good.
And then going back to the car park. Finally, I'm being handed a beer. That was the sight of that cold beer. Everyone was like, oh my God.
Okay, best thing, starting the Tongariro crossing, and the worst, the forest at the end. It just never ended.
Oh, I'm going to add one in here now, and that's finding work. I haven't had to find work in New Zealand, but Scott has. Take it away.
So finding work in New Zealand If you have a trade or a skill, it's pretty easy. If you don't, there's always hospitality work or bar work or anything like that. Google company names, Google what you're into, Google what you want to do, copy and paste loads of emails, write a nice email, put your CV in there, nice cover letter, fly them all out and see what comes back, and I'm sure you'll get something. So good places to find hospitality work: Trade Me, Seek, and even like local notice boards. I mean, if you want to go to your hostel and look at the notice boards, and then check out other hostels as well. Don't just check your own. Go around the block, check them all out. Normally people post stuff up in there. If you want short-term work or long-term work, there'll be something about. Right,
So those are all the questions. This is an amazingly long vlog. Wow. I thought it would be better if we both did this video because we both have different points of view and stuff on this, and he seemed to enjoy his appearance last time. He's very good with the Q's and the A's. Right, so I will see you tomorrow. There is going to be a few more sit-down videos packed full of information about traveling to New Zealand because we leave, well, in like 12 days. So get prepared. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all at Psycho Travel. The links are down there, and I will see you tomorrow. You gonna do it?
Love you. Bye.